Do you know how powerful you are? I had to make a decision. I had to decide to become my own light. I had to believe in myself like never before.
You're the creator of your own destiny. Do you believe in fate, destiny, predestined success? Have you ever imagined this fate being negative? No, because fate always will take you in the right direction. Not only can fate change you into a better person, you can control it.
Well, maybe you're leaving out the meaning of life. That's what it looks like to me. It's like, here you are, suffering away. What makes it worthwhile? Rights? It's almost impossible to describe how bad an idea that is. Responsibility. That's what gives life meaning. It's like lift a load. Then you can tolerate yourself, right? Because look at, you're useless, easily hurt, easily killed. Why should you have any self-respect? That's the story of the fall. Pick something up and carry it. Make it heavy enough so that you can think, yeah, well, useless as I am, at least I could move that from there to there.
You create your own future. You just don't know that you are at this very moment. Take control now. Make purposeful decisions. Decisions with meaningful intentions. Take control of your destiny. Make your life worth the time you put in. Your life is worth more than the pain you feel now.
Don't follow the path prescribed by someone else.
The reason you feel so uncomfortable on the inside is because you know you're not being the best version of you that you can be. That discomfort is trying to move you from where you're at to where you belong. Your destiny is greatness, and you know this on the inside, and that voice just keeps on calling, and you're never gonna have the peace until you go become who you are supposed to be.
Don't give in to fear. Continue to define your unique path. You and you alone are the only person who can live the life that writes the story that you were meant to tell.
I will use my strength every day. I will use my spirit every day. I will give my all every day. I am determined. I am willing to sacrifice. I am willing to go the extra mile. I will go the extra mile. I will do whatever it takes.
I started to pay very careful attention to what I was saying. I don't know if that happened voluntarily or involuntarily, but I could feel a sort of split developing in my psyche, and the split, and I've actually had students tell me the same thing that has happened to them after they've listened to some of the material that I've been describing to all of you. But I split into two, let's say, and one part was let's say the old me that was talking a lot and that liked to argue and that liked ideas. And there was another part that was watching that part, like just with its eyes open and neutrally judging. And the part that was neutrally judging was watching the part that was talking and going, that isn't your idea. You don't really believe that. You don't really know what you're talking about. That isn't true. And I thought, that's really interesting. So now and that was happening to like 95% of what I was saying. And so then I didn't really know what to do. I thought, okay, this is strange. So maybe I've fragmented, and that's just not a good thing at all. I mean, it wasn't like I was hearing voices or anything like that. I mean, it wasn't like that. It was, well, people have multiple parts. So then I had this weird conundrum. It was like, well, which of these two things are me? Is it the part that's listening and saying, no, that's rubbish, that's a lie, you're doing that to impress people, you're just trying to win the argument, you know? Was that me, or was the part that was going about my normal verbal business me? And I didn't know, but I decided I would go with the critic. And then what I tried to do, what I learned to do, I think, was to stop saying things that made me weak. And now I mean, I'm still trying to do that, because I'm always feeling when I talk whether or not the words that I'm saying are either making me align or making me come apart. And I think the alignment, I really do think the alignment I think alignment is the right way of conceptualizing it, because I think if you say things that are as true as you can say them, let's say, then they come out of the depths inside of you. Because we don't know where thoughts come from. We don't know how far down into your substructure the thoughts emerge. We don't know what processes of physiological alignment are necessary for you to speak from the core of your being. We don't understand any of that. We don't even conceptualize that, but I believe that you can feel that. And I learned some of that from reading Carl Rogers, by the way, who's a great clinician, because he talked about mental health in part as the coherence between the spiritual or the abstract and the physical, that the two things were aligned. And there's a lot of idea of alignment in psychoanalytic and clinical thinking. But anyways, I decided that I would start practicing not saying things that would make me weak. And what happened was that I had to stop saying almost everything that I was saying. I would say 95% of it. It's a hell of a shock to wake up and I mean, this was over a few months, but it's a hell of a shock to wake up and realize that you're mostly dead wood. It's a shock, you know, and you might think, well, do you really want all of that to burn off? It's like, well, there's nothing left but a little husk, 5% of you. It's like, well, if that 5% is solid, then maybe that's exactly what you want to have happen. Adopt the mode of authentic being. And that is something like refusing to participate in the lie, in deception in the lie, to orient your speech as much as you can towards the truth, and to take responsibility for your own life and perhaps also for the lives of other people. And there's something about that that's meaningful and responsible and noble, but also serves to mitigate the very suffering that produces, say, the nihilism or the flee into the arms of or the escape into the arms of totalitarians to begin with. You need something to shelter you against your own vulnerability.
You can think and say and do certain things and believe certain things, but if you carry an energy that's different, it doesn't matter what you're trying to manifest. And let me give you an example. There's a lot of people that date the same person again and again and again, or they have the same business problem again and again and again. Same obstacles. No matter what they do, you seem to, why is this always happening to me? It's because you carry an energy. So what I analyzed, and you know, I went to India and kind of learned this stuff about myself, is number one, my siblings were all hyper intelligent students. They all went to the Ivy Leagues. So I kind of had a chip on my shoulder that I didn't go to Harvard, Penn, or Columbia. My siblings were much more academic. So I had that going. Then when I was little, I was hyper, and they were good students. My grandma, who my mom was a teacher, would take us after school, was this wise old kind of Yoda type of character. And she would always say to me, I go, Grandma, I'm bored. Right? I don't want to study. She goes, only stupid people get bored. Smart people think things to do. Well, this changed my cellular memory, my neural pathways, and into my code, my DNA. So my energy shifted. What did that mean, though? That means I projected my insecurity about being stupid. Made me an ego-driven guy. Who then surrounded himself with the wrong people. And I used to be the smartest. I made sure I was the smartest guy in the room. Now, if I'm the smartest guy in the room, I'm in the wrong room. You're in the wrong room.
My question is, I'm an entrepreneur, it's very great, but not all days are great in a company. So what are your tips and tricks for, you know, tough days?
I think there's massive confusion around entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship sucks. I mean, it's lonely, it's high risk. I mean, I can't live without it, but it's like a bad boyfriend, right? Or girlfriend, right? Like there's a ton of bad days being an entrepreneur. Not to mention 98% of entrepreneurial ventures are gonna fail. So there's gonna be a really bad day in your future. For me, I think this is a very personal question. I think it's how you're wired. I'm so all in entrepreneur, I prefer the pain. I think one of the reasons I love the Jets so much is because they bring me so much pain. You know, I love the climb. To me, the setback is exciting. I love when something goes wrong. It's where I shine the most. But that's not for everybody, right? I mean, it can be very difficult. And when you start affecting your life and your loved ones and all the other things, it can get real nasty. To me, the way I handle things, even in the few rare days when I really struggle, I take a real step back and make pretend that somebody called me and told me that my mother or daughter were killed. And I know that's very dark, and I apologize, but it's really what I do. I literally am able to, at my deepest, most struggling moment within business, take a step back and remind myself that I can make $1 trillion tomorrow on Bitcoin, and if something bad happened to the people I love the most, that it would mean nothing. And it very consistently rewires me very quickly. I just put business in perspective. At the end of the day, you know, it's money. For me, it's not really money, it's my legacy, so I get hurt by it a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I put it in perspective. It's money. And you know what? Up until I had a daughter, even while I was married, up until when I had Misha 4 years ago, I secretly wanted to lose all my money. I had this weird, twisted, dark fantasy of losing everything just to rise again like a phoenix and remind you